Reactions continue to pour in this afternoon after yesterday's endorsement announcement in the runoff race in Texas. President Donald Trump endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton over incumbent U.S. Senator John Cornyn. And new reporting from the nonprofit news outlet VoteBeat suggests the move is not sitting well with some Republicans on Capitol Hill. Editorial director Jessica Hoosman is following the story. She's joining us now with more. Jessica, thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, not going over well with folks because a lot of Republicans see Attorney General Ken Paxton as a liability, right?
They do, and he's been a liability for quite some time. I think that they are looking at the polls that suggest that James Tallarico, who hasn't really even needed to spend a dime so far in this campaign, is beating him in the polls. And so I think that that's really worrying for a lot of people who are not really attracted to Ken Paxton's crazier antics and have liked John Cornyn for a long time. So I think that the worry is that if John Cornyn does lose this runoff, then we're going to have a lot of sort of mainstream Bush Republican style Republicans either vote for Tallarico or stay home entirely.
Yeah, so let's dive into that. We know that the Senate, the campaign arm, right, of the Senate was really backing. They were standing behind Senator Cornyn. We read, I know you probably saw this too, that Senator Tim Scott actually had a conversation with the president right before he made the announcement, and it just didn't go over well. It didn't work.
It didn't work. And, you know, this is something that Republicans have been trying to convince Trump of for a couple of months now. And very clearly, he wasn't going to endorse Cornyn, even if he never endorsed Paxton. I think even Cornyn a few days ago admitted that that ship had sailed. And so this is something that over a period of months, mainstream Republicans have not been able to pull Trump on side for.
What's the message to Republicans? You had Senator Cornyn, who early on in the president's second bid for president, right, said that he did not think that he should run again. And, you know, obviously the voters thought differently and proved him wrong. Do you think this all goes back to that?
I do, and I think that the timing of the endorsement isn't accidental. You know, Trump is coming off of a very successful couple of weeks of primarying out people that he has, you know, expressed frustration with. There were the Republicans, even state legislators in Indiana who refused to redistrict in the way that he wanted, and so they have been voted out and replaced with more MAGA-aligned candidates. You saw the same thing happen in Georgia to Brad Raffensperger, who just lost his Senate bid there. And so I think he's feeling very confident about the fact that he can still turn his base out to the polls. And I think he's probably hoping to do the exact same thing with John Cornyn.
When you look at that, though, turning that base out to the polls, that's something different than who comes out in November, right? We know that primaries are already smaller turnout, primary runoffs even smaller, right? We're seeing just sad numbers, right, in terms of the number of people who have cast ballots.
Not great.
November, you're going to need some independents. You're going to need some, you know, some other people if you're going to win in Texas. But the president is not looking at that. He thinks he can win it outright.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that people who are very supportive of Donald Trump are sort of getting a quick hit here, right? They're seeing people that they like lose, but I don't think that they're looking at the larger implications. Turnout in Republican primaries in Texas and everywhere else has been remarkably down, which means to me and to most people that I talk to that Republican enthusiasm is way down. And so while Trump has retained control of his party, that doesn't mean the whole party is following him anymore. And so I think that given that depressed enthusiasm, and then also pairing that with Trump's record low approval rating, he is the first president in more than 2 decades to have an approval rating this low for this long. And the ballroom is not popular, the war in Iran is not popular, and these are the things that he wants to talk about every day. And so I think that while he's getting some really quick validation that his base is still with him, I think that that base is dwindling.
It will be interesting to see what is going to happen in Texas on May 26th. VoteBeat editorial director Jessica Husman, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.